This is the plaintiff, Chad Holmes. He says he rented space on the defendant's property to store his lawnmower, and a tree fell on it, damaging it something awful. He politely asked the defendant to make a claim on her homeowner's insurance, and she refused. Since he pays rent, he thinks he should be reimbursed the $2,350.93 in damages he incurred, and is suing for just that in this courtroom today. This is the defendant, Maureen Zyko. She says the plaintiff moved his trailer and lawnmower from its original spot on her property to an outside area by a public road, which was illegal. She told the guy to move the equipment, but he didn't listen. Then a bad storm hit, and a bunch of trees came down. His lawnmower was damaged because he never moved it. It wasn't on her property, and she simply owes this man nothing. She's accused of not taking responsibility.
All parties, please take your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff says a tree fell on his lawnmower in an area he rented from the defendant, and he wants her to pay him for the damage. But the defendant says that the plaintiff parked his equipment on a town road, which isn't her property, and she owes him nothing. It's the case of timber.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Holmes, what happened?
Hi, Your Honor. I rented space from Mrs. Maureen for close to 3 years, and the trailer was parked on the back side of her driveway.
Was your rent just covering the trailer?
In the beginning, it was a space next to the horse barn, but she wanted a lot of money for an area that I didn't really use. And then the second agreement was for a horse stall and to keep the trailer there.
Okay, and where would you keep the trailer?
Power equipment in.
Where on her property did you keep the trailer?
If you look at the picture, you can see the driveway loops around the back of her house, and there was a small pull-off that I would back it into to keep it out of the way from the driveway.
And would you park it in the same place all the time?
I parked it there for approximately 2.5 years.
And was it parked there before that 2.5 years? Or was there a different place on the property where you used to park it?
There was a spot over by the horses where those two trucks are in the picture there under the tree. I used to park there, but then another renter was using the area.
So, it's hard to see from above because of, I appreciate the picture, but it's all very dense. I see a road looping and then coming down. Are you on the other side of that circular loop? Are you on the house side of it or on the other side of it?
So the loop is her driveway, and then I am right off the driveway to the right side to the outside.
To the outside of it.
The property line runs on the other side of the driveway. There's stone walls that divide the properties. It's well inside her property.
Okay, where is the stone wall in this picture?
On the far top left corner, there's a stone wall that runs in between the two properties that you can't see from the tree cover.
Yeah. Did
Right.
she ever tell you that you were parked in the wrong place and that you couldn't park there and you needed to park elsewhere or anything else?
No, ma'am.
Would she know where you were parked, or is the property so vast that she might not know it's there?
She drove by it every single day.
Okay. So what happens?
There was storm damage, and we were out working, trying to clean up other properties. Probably 3 days after the storm, I went there, and I noticed that I couldn't get back to the trailer, and I couldn't really see because there was a lot of tree down.
So what caused the trees to come down?
Just wind.
The wind and the storm? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Zyko, where did he have that lawnmower parked?
Your Honor, if you would look at the plot plan that I gave you, he was parked on that back, looks like a driveway, but it's a back road that's on the town property.
Okay. I'm looking at the site plan.
You see where the X is?
Uh-huh.
That's where the trailer was parked and the lawnmower on the trailer. Now you will see my property line. It cuts through that little oval. So when we drove around there, we were driving on town property. That was a fire road. It's not a paved road. And over to the right, you can see my line, my plot line.
Okay, so let me ask you, Mr. Holmes, are you taking, can you see this? And did she mark where your trailer was correctly?
I still think that I was inside her property line, more by this triangular area.
So you don't feel that where she put trailer here is correct?
No, ma'am.
Well, let me ask you this. What is it that caused the trees to come down, Ms. Zyko?
A bad storm was predicted, and it came, and the wind was very high and loud, and it brought a lot of the trees down.
Okay.
Because on that side of the property where the town has its conservation area, it's completely treed with pine trees that fall all the time. Now, last year in 21, I told Chad to park down next to the barn because for this reason. And he did. He parked it there all year, and the summer he finally used it. He had it there all year with no cover, nothing. And then he kept parking it up on that piece of roadway after that.
Did you ever tell him stop parking there? That's not my
I did. I told him, Chad White, you should have come and moved the tractor and the trailer when you knew there was a storm coming.
No. My question to you is, before the storm, had you ever mentioned to him, hey, that's not my property? I'm just curious.
Yes. When I told him to park down near the end of the barn before, I mentioned that he should park there because if we get a storm, the trees will come down and land on the trailer and the lawnmower.
Okay.
And he did park there.
So when did Mr. Holmes first say to you, hey, I think you should make a homeowner's claim, and what was your response?
Okay, the storm happened, and the very next day, I came up my driveway, and I was parked in my driveway, and he came up. And he said, I was in my car, and he came to the window, and he said, what are you going to do about my trailer and lawnmower? I said, I can't do anything about it. He said, well, I want $3,000. That's what he told me. And I said, I don't think my homeowners will pay for that because it's not on my property. And he said, he was angry, and he said, well, you'll hear from me. And then what did he do? I went in the house, and I wasn't in the house 10 minutes when the police were at my door. He called the police on me. And 2 officers came, and he stood in the front of my house in the driveway talking to one officer. And the other officer said to me, we were reported that you had an altercation with this man. And he inferred that I had touched him. And I never touched him. I was sitting in my car. I'm 84 years old. I'm on a cane. I would never do that. I never even raised my voice at him. And he was angry, and he went off and called the police on me. And the policeman, he was a little upset too. Why would he say that I had an altercation with him when I didn't? Now, my 18-year-old granddaughter was with me, and she said, I never heard a thing. There was no yelling or screaming or anything.
Okay, give me a moment. And Mr. Holmes, can you tell me why the police were called?
I simply called to have a police report of the damage on the property.
Okay.
Never said that she raised her voice to me. They asked me what she said to me when I asked about what we could do for the damages, and I told her, the officer, that she had told me that she wasn't responsible.
All right, so here's what we have. We have trees going down. Do we know anything else about those trees?
So the tree is actually located in her pool area.
Uh-huh.
You can see that the tree came down from her property, her pool area, and it hit my trailer in the spot where she claims is not her property, but in my opinion it is.
How does that road that I'm looking at on the left, that road curbs to the left, like beyond in the picture, it would be curbing to the left?
So right on the that's the sheds right there that you can see the little white speck from, and across from that is her house.
Okay, so on the left-hand side of the picture, there's a speck of white on the right-hand side of the driveway. That's her shed? Okay.
Yeah.
And then her house is to the right of that?
It's to the left of that.
Is to the left of that, but on the same side of the driveway?
It's on the other side of the driveway.
Oh, well, then that's kind of her point, right? If it's on the other side of the driveway, then you're parking in the wrong place. Let me ask you something, because it honestly, we're getting stuck on this, and the truth of the matter is, let's assume for one moment that you are parked squarely on her property and that you pay rent to park on her property. And then a storm happens. Ms. Zyko, did you summon the storms with your magical powers?
No, Your Honor.
Right. So what did she do wrong that would mean she or her homeowners would have to pay for the damage? Typically, there has to be some negligence on their part. It's not just, hey, it happened on your property. There has to be negligence on their part when there's an act of God like this, a storm that she didn't summons. So tell me, how then is she at fault?
I believe she's at fault because the tree that fell was overgrown and rotted.
Okay, now you're saying it's overgrown and rotted. Can you show me evidence that it was overgrown and rotted and that she should have known? So it's not enough to show me that it's rotted on the inside. You've got to be able to show that the average person would have been able to tell from the outside. Was there ever a time when you said to Ms. Zyko, hey, these trees are rotted and should come down? Yes or no?
Yes, several times. And
oh, really?
had us cut
Wait, hold on. Ms.
Zyko,
did he ever tell you that the trees are rotted and they need to come down in the spot where he's...
No, because my trees weren't rotted.
Okay. Mr. Holmes, can you show me any proof that you ever notified her that these trees are rotted?
No, Your Honor, I cannot.
Okay. And then now in the pictures, is there any evidence that the trees were rotted as opposed to that they were perfectly healthy trees that went down because of a terrible storm? How bad were the winds that day?
35, 40 miles an hour.
Ooh.
Yeah, how about 50?
Okay. So where are your pictures that show me rotted trees coming down? Where's that? Do you have that, Mr. Holmes? You don't have one, do you?
I have them on my phone. Yeah, it's just they're hard to make out, and you probably can't see them as well as you should, and I probably should have taken better pictures.
Okay. When there is a storm, and a storm brings down trees, what the plaintiff in such a case has to prove is that there was negligence on the part of the defendant. Otherwise, it's an act of God, and no, it can't be helped. So even assuming that you were parked in the right spot, what we have is a situation where you cannot prove to me that they were diseased or that you ever brought to her attention that they were diseased. So I cannot rule in your favor. My verdict is for the defendant.
So the plaintiff fails to prove he deserves to be reimbursed by the defendant, and he does not get $2,350 from her. Mr. Holmes, what are you thinking about the judge's decision? What's your reaction?
I think she's probably right. I should have had better evidence together, and that's my own fault.
Okie dokes. Kind of a lackadaisical attitude there, but you're right. It's your, no question, it's your fault, for sure. All right, Ms. Zyko, how do you feel about this? You were pretty adamant that you weren't responsible for it, right?
Well, I feel sad that he lost his lawnmower in his trailer, but I don't think he treated me fairly all this time. I charged him $100 a month for the stall that he had all his equipment in. And of course he was mad, and he moved everything out and left me with a whole bunch of trash that I have to get a dumpster and clean out myself. And it's just not fair.
Well, anyway, he lost the case, Ms. Zyko. You have prevailed, so congratulations. Good enough.
Doug, if you live next to somebody who has a tree that looks precarious, you got to put them on notice. Once they know the tree is in danger of falling, they have a duty to deal with it. If they don't know, you're probably going to lose your court case if it damages your property.
I was wondering if when the judge is about to rule, if the plaintiff realizes they need more information to win, can they ask to submit more before she renders a judgment? Or can they move to dismiss without prejudice and take a little more time to make a better case?
Well, most judges are not going to give you, a chance to waste their day and then waste their day another day when you're better prepared. So that's not going to happen, especially when you have a jury.
There might be a circumstance where a witness had a flat tire, something happened that's really weird where you might, right?
Oh, yeah, no. If it's just that you misjudge how much evidence you should put on, that's on you.
Different.
If something catastrophic happens, a judge will give you, the next day.
Right.
It always complicates matters when there's a jury involved, too, because you have to take into account how how you're affecting their time and making them all come back another day. If it's in front of a judge might often give you more time. If I feel like the person just didn't buy, nobody told me I had to bring that. I wish I'd known. I wish you told me I had to bring that. If it's that kind of thing, you're not going to get more time. If you say I did everything I couldn't get it without a subpoena, I need this, that's kind of different. I'll give you more time to go ahead and present it.
And
it's happened on the People's Court where I've said, I'll give you a week to present that. If you don't present it, I'm ruling this way. If you present it, I'm ruling that.
Yes, you do it from time to time.